Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Dating Made Simple. I'm your host, Tom Robinson, and usually I say sitting right next to me is my co-host, Bob Walls, but he's not here today. But sitting right next to me, my co-host, Macie.
My co-host. I'm getting the official title now.
Hey, how does it feel to be sitting next to me?
I feel honored, Tom.
This is a big step up for you.
I'm so grateful that I can be next to you, not across from you anymore.
It's a big deal for you.
It's a big deal.
I can tell in your eyes that
you can see it in my eyes. Are they shining?
They're shining more, yeah. Well, Macie, right across from Mr. Three Gentlemen.
Yes, three wonderful gentlemen.
Guess where they're from?
Well, I don't know. Where are they from?
They're here from the Mutual app.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we're excited
Mutual
to have these guys here. We've been pumping Mutual for a long time.
Yeah.
Macie's a big time user.
Big.
We actually have, just so I'm going to let you guys introduce yourself in a second, but we have a radio spot that we put out on our podcast that actually tells the boys that Macie's on Mutual. that they should go out and try to find her. So
I didn't know this ad was running. And I just get this. He's like, here, listen to this ad I made. And it's like a 15-second radio thing. And I listened to it, and then my name is in it. And I started laughing so loudly. I was like, this is the best thing ever.
We're going to have to look at usage at the time that it aired. I'm sure
see if
a lot more mail traffic, right?
Let's do that. Well, let's have you guys introduce yourself. Tyler, since you were just talking, why don't you introduce us and tell us your job at Mutual?
Yeah, so I'm one of the newer members of the team here at Mutual compared to these two who were here from the beginning. So I'm a senior product manager, and that's just a fancy title for I work with the development teams to make sure that the app gets updates and that we improve the experience. So
okay,
that's
good. We have a lot to talk to you about today. So. Okay.
Awesome. So my name's Michael Patterson. I'm the Chief Technology Officer on Mutual. I've been with the company since we founded, so I've done a little bit of everything. I was actually the first developer on the project and helped get the first version of Mutual out in 2016.
Oh, very cool.
Wow, you're an OG.
I'm an OG.
2016. Wow, it's growing fast.
Yes, it's been...
And he has a great voice, dude.
Yeah, he does.
Thank you.
You should be a podcaster.
Well, hey, I'm just excited to be across
I'm feeling a little threat.
You're talking about next time. I'm excited to come here. Yeah, this is fun. But anyways, I do a lot of fun stuff at Mutual. Job is a little crazy sometimes, but I'm mostly working with these guys in strategy now.
Okay, good.
Sweet.
Good. I'm glad you're here. We have a lot to talk to you about too. So,
and my name is Hunter Paramore. I've been around since I think employee number 2 or 3 or something around there, right around the after.
Hunter, you were the first person that. So when we went to create Mutual, the first president of Mutual had a doodle of what he wanted to make, and he handed it to me.
Like
he said, okay, make this.
Paint.
It was an MS Paint, and he said, make this, and I looked at it. I'm like,
you should tell him.
I know a guy, and that guy was Hunter. He knows how to make things beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah, Hunter's amazing.
So I had you design. You should tell him what the app was originally called before Mutual.
Oh, I don't know if I should.
I don't know. It wasn't very good.
Wait. Now we want to know.
Okay, it was called Thumbum. It didn't make
like
it.
Urim and Thummum.
Oh, Thumbum. But we just didn't. It had
now
problems.
You understand?
Oh yeah, problems.
It didn't survive the cutting board. It ended up on the
I
floor.
think the original logo was like Leahona.
Yeah,
it was like that was the point. Is like anyway. I saw those and I was like, yeah, I can probably help out with that a little bit.
Yeah, you can help fix that one. Yeah.
Mutual's much better. Good job, guys.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you fixed that.
That's all Bob.
So now, Hunter, what is your official title and what is it that you actually do now?
So I do UX UI design. So kind of that plus almost every other design other than marketing.
Okay.
So from our brand logos, like that side of stuff, but I also work a lot with our actual like user research to first figure out what people want in a dating app or what frustrates them. And then take that and spin on it a little bit and come up with a bunch of ideas of how we can maybe fix it or how do it better or just new features. And then propose those features to these guys and then do the cycles of trying to make it something we can actually do instead of something that's crazy huge and whatnot. And eventually it gets out and then I do the design work, hand that off to the devs.
Very cool.
Testing, design, and strategy, really figuring out what people want.
Very cool. Now, how many users are there right now? Do you have a solid number, or do you have a range?
Yeah, I can speak to that. We've got over 160,000 people using it every month.
Wow.
So really strong, vibrant community in
all over the world too.
I think it's like 178 countries. It's kind of crazy.
Wow.
You take the church demographics and whatever it is, we layer right on top of it. With,
very
with
cool.
singles. So
I went to Ghana this summer and worked with a lot of people with the church, and the members there were like, oh yeah, I met my girlfriend on Mutual. Because like there's not as many members over there, so that's like an easy way for them to connect. So like it's being used everywhere.
Yeah, no, everywhere. It's
Philippines is a big one. Brazil and Mexico are huge ones, but U.S. is the biggest. But then after that, it starts going into those. And Philippines, like
U.S.,
4.
Canada, England, Brazil, Mexico.
Very cool. I had no idea it was that worldwide.
Peru actually is really high up there.
Really?
Yeah, Peru is a really good market penetration.
We have the app is in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Those are the main languages that we hit, and so most everybody has or knows those.
Wow, very cool. Now, about how many people are using, how many swipes? Do you have any other data?
Oh man, I should have brought some of that. But I know we actually, earlier this year, we computed it was like every 4 seconds someone's matching or something like that.
Wow.
So it's really fast.
They happen a lot.
So
See,
yeah,
wait, hang on a minute. See, Macie, I told you
What? Why did you
that
tell
you
me
could
Tom?
find some matches.
I have a
Every
feeling she
4
has some
seconds.
matches.
You know, you need to swipe up on people too.
Yeah, that's the problem right there.
I'm the problem. It's me.
They're
I'm the
like,
problem.
look at
Well,
all
she
these
does
guys. Swipe down, swipe down, swipe down.
Yeah, and
Maybe I
Macie is
shouldn't.
like,
He's not 6'6". Dang it. He's not a
6 foot
Tyler height.
Well, Tyler, as an exercise, you were talking to some people and asking them how often they thought they swiped up. Wasn't that something you did recently? And I think you had a fun story on that.
Yeah, people think they're more generous than they actually are.
Oh, okay.
wow. What did you find out?
I have a close family member who
Will remain unnamed.
of course, she has to get married on the app because
Yeah.
that's what I do, right?
Yeah.
And anyway, it's really fun when you can kind of provide statistics on profiles and giving them insights. And I think that's something we want to really consider is, can we help provide people information that will help them improve or change their behavior? So anyway, I showed her that her swipe rate compared to the average female user, and it was much lower. And so she changed her behavior, and it meant a lot more matches.
Now, did she think she was swiping more than she actually was?
Yes.
Did she say, "Oh, I swipe up all the time"?
Yep. Yeah, that's the thought process.
And then, so what do you know what the average is,
yeah,
or
It's
thereabouts?
different for men versus women.
Okay.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
Yeah, men are significantly more generous in liking people than
Well,
women.
of course,
As you can imagine.
that's part of our
Hey,
DNA. We're
hey,
just generous people.
Yeah, I'll put it this way: men are 3 times as generous as women in terms of.
Oh, wow.
yeah.
They're forgiving.
We're also 3 times as more desperate.
or
that-
just lazy,
Okay,
and they
right.
don't take the time to study, and they need to, right?
But
Yeah, well, let's talk about that later too.
Yeah.
yeah,
So wow, interesting. So any other kind of data that you could share with us about Mutual? I want to give our listeners as much and deep of information about this as we can.
I need to double check this so maybe you know. We've had quite a few people who've reached out to us who've told us that they've gotten married through Mutual. Like
Yeah,
how
right.
Many,
Oh,
how many
yeah.
successful relationships happen through Mutual? And I think it's like in the tens of thousands of couples.
yeah. I know we have thousands of written stories that have been submitted. For every written story submitted, there's 10 that aren't submitted. So if you're listening to this and you know someone who met their someone on Mutual, write into success@mutual.app. Share your story. We'll throw it on Instagram.
One of the more recent ones was someone on our team, Carly.
Oh, yeah. When we hired her, I teased her and said, "You're not going to last a year." And she's like, "Oh, I've been single forever."
He
And I was
lasted
like,
a little over a year.
she made it, I think, a year and 2 months. So-
Okay, okay. Wait. So this is a really good launching place to talk about this discussion. What did you tell her, or what behavior did she change that made the difference? Because she's like, "Oh, I've been single forever." Then all of a sudden, you guys, obviously she was working for Mutual, started using Mutual more. And then lo and behold, a year later, or within a year, she finds somebody. So what happened?
So she tells this story a lot, but she changed the intentionality of the app. A lot of times her previous behavior was, it was a numbers game, it was fun, I was curious, and it was a lot. And she got to the point where she maintained a very small set of matches, and she was very deliberate about those relationships, trying to move them forward. And that's something that we're trying to think through.
It's
and
very
go,
important.
How can we replicate that with other
It's not
daters?
just, oh, you're cute. Like, sure. It's like, okay, let me look at your profile and then like see if we might even be compatible in some sort of way.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And I think she casted a pretty broad net when it came to like not a lot of strict criteria on what would, like, a swipe up isn't a marriage proposal. Like,
For sure.
I'm okay.
Could you say that one more time?
A up swipe is not a marriage proposal.
There you go.
No, but I think what that did for her is it said, I mean, the criteria is, would I be willing to have a conversation with this person? Like that's the bar. And so she had a lot of people that she was willing to have a conversation with. And then when it got to the match, it was, okay, what do I need to have conversation wise to determine if this is going to be in my short list or not? And so she was able to really hyper focus on just a few people.
Oh, okay.
I remember her talking about this. She's like, I remember if it's 5 or 10, it's like, I'm only going to have 5 conversations going at a time. I'm going to try and do it. When you think about it in like real life, if you're actually trying to find somebody or going to speed dating events or going to classes meeting, you're not going to be interested in trying to talk with 30 people,
Yeah,
which
true.
is what you do very easily on an app. I'm trying to juggle 30 conversations. You're like, there's 2 or 3 cute guys I'm going to talk to until I get a vibe that they're not interested. And then I'm going to go find someone to replace that. And eventually one of them kind of moves on a little bit more, or several of them. And you kind of work from there. And I think that was one of the things that she really focused on.
We looked at some statistics not too long ago, and they were saying that, or they asked how many people were you talking to? And there was a very high percentage that were 15 or more.
15.
And yeah, 15 or more. And that is everything from, hi, how are you doing, to, hey, let's go out to dinner. So there was everywhere in between. And I think that's exactly the point you're making, is that you have a lot of people that you're chatting with and talking to. That doesn't mean you swiped up. That doesn't mean it's a marriage proposal, right? So you're just trying to meet and talk to some people. So
I think that needs to be a mindset change for everybody that uses a dating app, because I think this generation is so focused on like, okay, I just want everybody to like me, so I'm going to swipe up on these people. I just want as many matches and talk to as many people as I can. But then it comes down to it, it's like, I don't actually want to talk to most of these people. So,
especially with some of the conversations, like probably one of the other things that Carly Gunning deals with is she's on our support team. So she sees all sorts of stuff that's either reported or, the not so good side of Mutual. It sometimes happens. And, good examples to learn from. There's a lot of lessons learned of people who just need to learn how to have a conversation with people without jumping straight to like certain topics that you probably should save for
just
a lot
say
later.
it, Nick Mo.
Yeah. Nick Mo, or do you want to make out? Or like whenever we see reports, it's like that. And like, yeah, you're going to get reported. Don't do that.
Well, I think one of the problems that we see is exactly what Macie said, was people that just feel like they're being nice to swipe up. And then what happens is they don't talk to the person. They connect with them, and then they don't talk to them, and then they get ghosted, and there's all kinds of problems that happen from there. So that problem exists as well.
I think that's for all dating apps. Like, that's not just a Mutual. That's just like every day, all dating.
All dating.
Well, and interesting enough, Tom, how often people are talking after the conversation is a metric we track. And are actively working to figure out what can we do to help influence people to do more, to talk more with people.
Right.
Because if you cannot end up, I mean, a lot of people look from the end. Like, I want to be married and have kids and have everything put together. And it's like, well, that's not where you start. You have to initially talk to someone. And then go on a date and go to dinner. And
wow,
those are important things.
These are wise words. So he's basically preaching what you preach.
Thank you.
Oh, you're preaching
You're making me look very
in
smart.
the names of one or what was it, 2 or 3
witnesses. That's right.
So here's a third.
Hunter was saying it too.
Say it again.
Hey, go ask someone to dinner. And we actually, in February, we had a challenge for that, to kind of on the lines of it's just dinner.
I was quoted in this, just so you know.
You probably influenced, but Bob, our CEO, mentioned how his first date with his wife wasn't even a date. It was just, he asked her to dinner to go talk. And they talked and got along, and then went again and again. And then that's how things start.
That's how it starts.
So what we did is we challenged everybody, and even if it's not February anymore, the Valentine's Day is one day of the year.
Right.
You can go to dinner. I mean, at least I personally like to eat dinner every day.
I do.
No way. That's shocking.
And
it's the one thing we all have in common is we like to eat.
So. Yeah. And guess what? I'm going to have to do that anyways. And so why not go do it with someone else? So yeah, let's just go talk.
What? Did he talk to you before this?
Wow. it's like my voice is coming out of his mouth.
I know.
So, glad to hear it. If you're listening to this, ask someone to go have a meal with you. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a date. It doesn't mean you're getting married. It means you're going to go hang out with someone, get to know someone. And I mean, it's a good skill to do all of your life. And with your coworkers, we go more to lunch than to dinner, but I go to lunch with these. We had lunch right before we came here, and we talked and hung out, and it's great.
That's how you get to know each other.
Yeah, human beings need togetherness. It's important.
And Mutual starts it all. Just,
and I always
want to have a conversation with.
One of the things I tell everyone on the podcast for sure, and then in the firesides and even in my classes, is the Mutual app should be used to find someone to go to dinner with. Find someone that you connect with, that you like, go out to dinner with them, then see if there's a spark. If there's not, that's okay, because the worst thing that can happen is you had dinner. That's the worst thing that can come out of it. And so if something good comes out of it, if there's a spark, then go out on another date and then let it, like Bob said, let it go from there to there to there. But just look on the app, find someone that you find interesting that you'd like to sit down and have a meal with.
Here's a question. You guys see all of the apps, not all the apps, all of the dating profiles out there. What makes one stand out from another? What makes one good? What makes one
content, usually, like good, well thought out content, good photos. I can be closer.
No, so
that's something we see a lot. Personalized content. Like we've done some research on like photos, like the order of photos and the little slide carousel thing, and which one should be first, and whether or not you should include selfies. And we've actually put a lot of like AI photo work and into if they just took a selfie or they're in a bathroom or whatever,
right,
shirtless. There's like, hey, you probably shouldn't do that. It's not going to work well. And then Michael did a bunch of research a couple months ago about, hey, profiles or photos that have those types of photos in them get swiped down significantly less, especially if it's your first or second photo. And there's kind of a formula of like the first photo should be you and the second one should be a fun thing, or the third you and maybe a couple other people or friends, or you doing an activity, whatever is important to you.
Don't lead with your goofy picture.
Oh, gosh.
I do the goofy picture.
Guys do that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's
probably
for sure.
ditch the hunting picture unless you're a girl. Then you'll get a lot of guys swiping that one.
That is like so accurate. Oh my gosh.
It's a dead elk with blood spray.
Oh.
Yes.
It's a lot, but
Our AI usually finds those like, nah.
Now, you guys may know this, but a few weeks ago, we did a podcast episode where we had 2 young women come in, and Bob and I graded their profiles, their mutual profiles. So they pulled them out, and very brave of them to let us do it. We went through, looked at all their pictures, read all their responses, and we gave them a grade. And one was an A and one was an A minus. Then we said, okay, now let us look at some of the boys that you've connected with or that have swiped up on you. So they let us look at it, and I was absolutely horrified at what I was seeing. We graded one a D minus, one and the next one an F. And then we gave one a B plus, and we allowed her to respond to that guy. The rest of them, we would not let her respond to it. So there's a problem, and I don't want to pick on our gender, guys, but I think it might be us.
Yeah.
That's the problem, because maybe for some reason we think having a picture of a deer or some shirtless picture of us is a good idea.
I almost want to tell all our male users that if you'd feel comfortable in front of a state conference in what you're doing on your profile, because that is the equivalent of what's happening.
That's
right?
true.
Except they're all really attractive women that are swiping down on you.
Right.
Right. They're leaving the state conference. And yeah, if you thought about and took the time to get ready to go give a talk in conference.
A state conference every week.
That's right.
That's what people don't like. 160,000 singles in a month. Like you have a stake of 1,000 people to show up. Like you can use Mutual continuously for 52 weeks and get a unique set of people who are seeing you. So thousands of people are seeing you. How often do we see a profile where it's 5 selfies or 6 selfies in a row? They just can't take the time to get through the profile. And we measure completeness on a profile, and it's something that we're running a test right now, and it's made a couple people mad. But
you have to fill out your whole profile. You can't swipe
to like someone.
Someone has told me about that, just so you know. So.
To like someone, you must fill out your whole profile, which is you have to put 6 photos and write 3 little things about yourself. And that's the bare minimum.
The bare
minimum.
minimum.
Very hard.
No, it's not very hard. And it may take a few minutes, but guess what? Like, if you want to potentially meet, end goal, I want to meet my wife is what you're hoping for.
Right.
What are you wanting to lead with? Like, what do you want the first memory to be of you? Like, you didn't even comb your hair. You took and I'm dead serious. It's really sad how often that's the case. And to be fair, that's probably 30% of guys. We look at profile completeness, and we measured it we're up to 74% of male profiles are completely filled out.
Well, that's good.
Up from 70% at the beginning of the month when we turned this test on.
Okay.
So we took
they're learning.
We took a third of our Apple audience and we turned it on, and we saw about a 90%. As soon as we took away the ability to swipe up, I'm like, okay, fine, I'll add all 6 photos. So now at least we've got content in there.
Yeah.
And that's where Hunter was speaking earlier. We added some AI work to be able to to warn you. And so we said we give, if you give a selfie of your face and this is all you can see at you, like we warn you and say, are you sure you want to do this?
Oh.
So it's a funny
You
thing.
have to click yes.
20% of the time, the people go and change it. 80% of the people are like, no, then they send it. So,
Hey, you're getting a little bit.
but hey, 20% better. We'll take that.
You're getting there.
But how do we get the rest of the people to do it?
And just so you know, I had a student that told me, I asked him about Mutual, and he said, well, they sent me a notice that my picture wasn't very good, so I had to change it. So somebody out there got it.
We're trying to help you.
Yeah,
like before you go.
he wasn't mad about it.
Yeah.
And so he's like, oh, I thought maybe I should have changed it. So it is working. They're out there understanding it.
I want to share something really quick that's just so interesting about my background. So my career has typically been optimize this digital experience to make money. Like you will be successful at this company depending on the dollars you drive.
Right.
And what is so cool about working here is it's first, how do we help people get married in the temple? Like, how do we help people have
nice goal.
celestial relationships? And at
That's
times
cool.
we're like, that's probably the right thing to do to help people. And it probably isn't the best thing for our app. What do you think we saw when we told people they can't like people until they did this work? You think it was good for the app as a whole? Do you think that drove a lot more usage? Do you think people were thrilled about it?
What would you say, Macie?
I feel like, I don't know if there'd be super strong opinion either way, but I think people would be like, oh, wait, maybe I should fill this out because it probably would be beneficial to me.
The reality is the percentage of people who hadn't done that yet, there are people who are just not going to use the app anymore. And we're almost okay with that. It takes a certain level. You have to commit yourself to a certain level of effort to be successful on our app. And if you're not willing to give that effort, it's probably not the place for you to be.
Right.
No, that's so true.
And you know what's really interesting? Those people who did take the time to update their app, they're demonstrating way more committed behavior than they did previously. So the community itself gets better. If we were a numbers game and we just cared about making money, this was probably, probably wasn't the best of ideas or changes. And so it's interesting that we're constantly fighting and making sure that this company needs to be successful, but it's going to be that way if we help people find love first. Right.
Now there are, and I've heard this story before, there are a lot of people that have good or decent profiles that aren't getting matched.
Yeah.
How can we help them? Give me some ideas.
Absolutely. So what you just described, we've been kind of ranting against the people who aren't taking the time to even try. There are a lot of great people who are they have done everything and it's not working. And so for that, what we recommend is, and we've actually started to do this, we've started we call them user journey. So we'll remind people via a notification or an email, and we're telling them it's time to shake it up, because a lot of people, they'll put their content in there and they'll never touch it again.
That's true.
And a lot of times I'll see these profiles where these guys will have some great pictures, but they chose the wrong one for the first one.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you're not having success, a lot of times, don't freak out. What I'd suggest you do, rotate your pictures. Take whatever you were leading with and swap it, because the reality is your first picture, it is really the gateway into your profile.
Right.
And so if you get that one wrong, a lot of times no one's going to see, it's about a 50% drop rate to the second photo. So
interesting.
Yeah, so your first photo is, you need to lead with, don't save your best for last.
Right.
They're not going to get to your last photo.
Yeah.
Lead with your absolute best. And have a picture of you smiling that has you in frame.
Like, ask people which one's the best.
Yeah, and
do a little research.
Find someone who you think is cool, that can help you, and that can give you some advice. And everyone, I leave my house and I say, hey, honey, do I look okay? And she's like,
well, you always hit that mirror one more time before you.
But yeah, go find someone who can help you and have them take a look at it and say, hey, which of these do you think would be my best? And we actually added, so into the screen that shows who's liked you, if it's empty, you know what we added as the first option for you to do?
What?
View your own profile.
Oh.
So that if you're empty, what am I leading with?
Right.
And then take a look at it, and then you see your own profile as if the
Sometimes
exact...
people have never seen their own profile.
No, yeah,
before.
because you set it up differently.
Right,
So
that's true.
You can see your own profile exactly the way
Interesting.
people see it, and kind of think, okay, that looks different than I was expecting. Maybe I should tweak it. So, and that won't work for everything, but that will go a long way for a lot of people. Shake it up, get some advice. And some of this is patience. I mean, unfortunately, there's not unfortunately, there's a divine timing and factor into this.
Right.
I have a family member that got married from Mutual, and she used the app for about 3 years. That's a long time.
That is some time.
And she'd come up to me every single time I'd see her and be like, "Your app doesn't work. Your app doesn't work." And I'm like, man. She finally invited me to her wedding, and I was at her wedding, and I was super excited. And at her wedding, which she had her wedding at my clubhouse, or her wedding reception at my clubhouse, and I told her, "Congratulations. Where'd you meet Larry?" And it was like, Mutual. I'm like, what?
Your app work. Your app work.
Tell me, like, earlier, before you invited me. It's like, oh, like, at that point, and that's the thing. And this goes with not just dating. When you're in the middle of something you consider a trial that's difficult, it can feel like forever.
Right.
And then when it's over.
Right.
And it's gone, and you're better for it. And a lot of times you realize, I needed that, or the timing was right in the end. We ran a study on people who had responded. Like, we don't know everybody who's gotten married on Mutual, because not everyone took the time to write in. But we took several hundred people who wrote in, and we went and found all their accounts, and we ran a statistical analysis on how long on average they had used the app. And it was around 2 years. So, and I think you go through different cycles, and I think it was around, I commit to publishing a blog post with the actual data from this, because it was fascinating. And we found that most of the people had used Mutual multiple times. It was 2 or 3 times that they'd gone back and used it. And the average was over a year, and was multiple uses of the app to get there. So if you feel like, man, this is my 4th time, it might be the 5th.
Right.
And I've never felt that we need to be you shouldn't only be using Mutual. You should be going to your ward. You should be meeting everyone around you. And you should be using us. Like, use every opportunity you have.
Right.
And we've got your best interests in heart, but you should be using everything you can to help meet people.
That's so interesting. And I think people need to hear that, because it's like, oh, I used Mutual and that didn't work for me. And then they're like, well, it doesn't work. And what you're saying is exactly right. Like, you just got to try it again. And marriage takes time. It's not easy. And like what you were saying, you got to have some level of commitment. You got to fill out your profile. You got to show that you actually want to get married by filling out your profile.
Learn how to drive a conversation with someone who you might not have a lot in common with at the beginning.
Right.
Like, me personally, I've gotten a lot of both experience, but enjoyment out of sitting down and talking to people about things that I've never heard of before, that they love, and that I'm not interested in. And then you just talk to them, because it gets them going. It gets them interested. They end up liking you a little bit more. And I'm like, I just learned about a job that I had no idea even existed.
I've always said that marriage is a happy consequence of dating, and it just happens. And the only way that you can be successful at this whole thing is to get on Mutual, find someone, go out to dinner. If it doesn't work, that's fine. Go back to Mutual, find someone, go out to dinner. Go to your ward, find someone, go out to dinner, talk, date, be in a relationship, break up, be in another relationship. Then guess what? Finally, it will happen. But you use the resources that you have to just meet people, to just talk to them and have fun getting to know them. Because if you put too many steps in front of it, if you say, today I'm single, tomorrow I'm going to be married, you're going to be really unhappy with the results that you get. But if your goal is to meet someone nice, to talk to them, to learn something new about them, and you're going to have a really good time getting to know a lot of different people. And eventually, you might find that one person, but you have to put some effort into it of meeting a lot of people.
The other thing I'd say, and we see this in the analytics of the app, those who are interested and show how they're interested are usually interesting enough to be liked back. What I mean by that is you can go on the app and you can just suicide swipe. And what you'll be is just one more little square in that heart tab of people who liked them, and they have to sort through all that.
Right.
What helps to sort through all that is this person took the time to hit the little heart icon and to comment or send a note or a specific personalized message. And then I go, oh, maybe I can have a more meaningful match and conversation with this person than just a blanket, I thought you were attractive.
Right.
And so,
hey.
Yeah, exactly. So we definitely want to emphasize that everybody has access to notes, and that is the best way to get visibility and to be able to be really creative about showing interest in someone in a way that you become interesting because you took the time and put in the effort.
Yeah, I really like that note aspect that you had, and I didn't know about that till we had the two young women in here, but it is kind of a fun thing where you can send someone a note that shows some interest. But I would also recommend, tell me what you guys think, is if you're going to send a note, make it related to their profile in some way. Don't just send, hey, or, hey, I think you're good looking. Send something that sparks a conversation. Send something that they will have to answer. And so that, I think, is a really good feature that you have.
Something with that, as I was doing some research, it's funny, like I'm a married guy and I probably have more dating apps on my phone than most single guys.
It's so funny.
I do all the research for competitors and what works for people, social media, stuff like that. And I also look at a lot of other apps and how they solve problems. For example, looking at LinkedIn, like I look at this in myself. Whenever somebody reaches out as a connection for LinkedIn, I'm like, no, I don't know you.
Right.
Decline.
Yeah.
If somebody sends and attaches a note, I'll always open the note and read it.
Exactly.
About when I realize it's like, hey, we'd be interested in working with you. And I'm like, no, never mind. You're just fishing. But if it's like something about me, like, hey, I found you, I use this app, or I'm interested in design, can we connect? I always say yes on those.
That's really
And
important.
it's it's because it's personalized to me. It's interesting. And I can tell it's not fake cookie cutter. Some recruiter reaching out to 1,000 people and just copy and pasting the same thing, And so that's kind of something with that it's important to be genuine and talk about people. Like you'll become the most interesting person to someone else if you show interest in them and get them talking about things that they're interested in.
Right.
Tom gave me a good analogy once. He said, if I ever want to get someone's attention, like a business or a company, he's like, I don't just send them a letter. He's like, everybody gets a letter in the mail. Not everyone opens up all their letters. He's like, I'm going to send them a box because who doesn't open up the box?
Everyone opens
the box. Like, you want to know what's in there. It's like surprise. It's a little present. And so same thing, like you got to take the time to put a little effort in and say, hey, I think your profile is incredibly funny, whatever it is, like saying something that is unique to their profile.
I think some of our statistics are like, if you send a swipe up or a like on someone, let's just say you get a certain number of percentage points of, how many people respond to you or match with you. And if you send a note, it's like 3 times more likely.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah,
I believe it.
Yeah. I mean, they don't always work. There's plenty of people who say, I sent notes and I don't know, and nobody talks. I'm like, well, maybe the content isn't good, or maybe the person's off mutual for a bit, or any number of reasons. Maybe they just are in a different relationship at the moment and can't respond.
Or you're sending a note to the person who got 500 notes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
You're sending a note to a super attractive girl who has, so many notes they can't swipe through them. It's crazy. I was thinking earlier a little bit, I wrote down a couple notes here. So to go quickly, because there's a lot of things we can talk about. Good impressions lead to good interactions.
Right.
Good interactions lead to good connections. And that's where mutual stops. We will give you impressions. We will give you interactions and ways to talk with each other and connections. But then after that, good connections leads to good friends. That's what you really need to do first.
Absolutely.
And then good friends lead to good partners, or, somebody who I'm going to spend my life with.
Right.
And then out of that list, a good spouse. And so it's a funnel, but a lot of people are like coming into mutual looking for the friends, partners, or spouse part right off the bat without really taking time to like start connecting.
Or some even go all the way to the end and say, I'm looking for a spouse. And
well, you can definitely start by looking for a spouse, but you got to start somewhere. Like your impression of your profile needs to be what people want, like putting some time into your profile, making yourself marketable. I'll say that.
Yeah. It's a good word. It's a good word around here.
Like, making yourself appealing to people to want to swipe up on you. And a bathroom selfie probably isn't going to do that. Or, in many cases, hunting picture or gym picture. You might appeal to some people, but you're kind of wanting to appeal to as many people as possible, especially if you're not having a lot of success.
Right.
Get into the niche part of, I really like this obscure topic that might turn some people off if it's your first picture, but leave that for later when you get to know each other.
Exactly. Exactly. So what's in the future for Mutual in terms of technology and changes? Do you have anything going on that you can tell us about?
Gosh, you asked the right question.
Tyler got excited. You see the look at his eyes? He was
His eyes just got bright.
I've been like chewing on my tongue this whole time saying, when did I say this? One of the challenges that we see with dating apps in general is that it's all about timing in some regard. So somebody might like somebody that could be their future spouse, but for whatever reason, they're like taking a break from the app. And so when they like them and when the other person comes back and that other person's now taking a break from the app, or we find that there can be a lot of effort expended and it may not be just the right timing for the two people.
Right.
We're working on this feature that I think will solve that challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And we're calling it speed dating. I don't know if there's a better word for it, but we're super excited. We're actually a few weeks out from a launch of this, and we're actually getting people in like a pre-release state to tell us.
How long have you been working on it?
Since August of last year.
Wow.
This is something that we just felt so passionately about that we were just like, as long as it takes to get it right. And what was so fun is Hunter put together this prototype that I just feel so inspired. We reviewed it in research, and I have, in my career, have seen such well received, such excitement, such engagement from the survey results that I think the community that's on this app is just going to just recognize that we're changing the game when it comes to digital interaction. And so what you're going to do is you're going to come in and you're going to see everybody who's on the app in that moment that's willing to jump into a conversation. And it's an immediate match to have a 5-minute discussion and then decide whether you want to stay matched or not. It is going to be
that's kind of
so
spicy.
fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's probably going to be a lot of heartbreak. There's probably going to be a lot of like horror stories, but there's probably also going to be some really cool success stories from this. And we don't know where it's going to go. We don't know if people are going to be like, if YSAs are going to get their stakes together and they're all just going to be silently sitting there texting each other for 5 minutes, like, and then leaving together. Like, we don't know what this could be in the future, but there's a lot of really fun things that this could turn into. And we're just so excited to see how it goes for our initial launch.
Are you adding any features where, I know there are some apps that do this where they allow a video on there or they have a audio recording?
Audio is an area that there's a couple things that get me really excited right now, and audio is one of the ones that I'm really pumped about, just because it gives a whole different dimension to someone to hear their voice. But with audio this year, we're rewinding back just a little bit. We've had a lot of complaints about our chat over our history. We've completely rebuilt our chat. So over the next couple months, we'll be releasing, in iMessage, how you can do little reactions and you can react to things. We'll have reactions. We'll have replying. We'll have audio messages pretty soon too.
Good.
We'll allow you to send attachments and make sure it's in a way that'll be safe.
Icebreaker questions.
Yeah, we've been looking at icebreaker questions. So there's all sorts of little things we want to build into the chat. But audio is one of the ones that we're excited to add that to. That's the starting point for audio.
That's great.
That's awesome.
That's great.
We're excited to also dive further and actually get it into people's profiles too. But that's where we're starting with this year.
Good.
That is awesome.
It's been on the list for a little while, and we've been really testing, like, will it work? How can we support it? Will people take the time to put up a video? Everybody wants to see little 10-second videos in other people's profiles.
Totally.
But nobody's like,
would you make one, Macie?
I think that it would help a profile. I think it shows your personality, shows who you are. Sometimes pictures can be a little off. I think
would you be seen as a try-hard if you did that, though? A lot of people are like, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to look too desperate.
No, that's fair. I think I would put in a video that I had already made, like, it was just like me having a fun time with my friends or doing something. It's not just like, hi, my name's Macie and I am, something like that. I think that would be a little better.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Well, did we cover all your
I have one more question before I let you go. And that is about safety. It's a big concern, especially for our young women. They talk to me about it all the time. They don't use dating apps sometimes because they don't feel safe. They don't go on dates with certain people because they don't feel safe. What is Mutual doing to ensure safety for both the young women and the young men?
Awesome. I'd love to talk to that. So, the first thing we do is we have an incredible support team. So we talked a little bit about Carly. Shout out to her. She will definitely.
Hey, Carly.
We love you, Carly.
He's getting married.
But Carly leads a team that their job is the user administration on Mutual. So a lot of people don't realize this. When you make your Mutual profile, it's not visible right away. Like it goes into a queue, and we have a team of real people combined with some AI powered things that give insights about the profile and the behaviors that they analyze, and they try to see, is this profile safe or not? And so we pre-filter everyone who comes in. And so a lot of people they'll try to get into Mutual and they'll get rejected. And it's like, sorry, you got to change some things. Like you don't have, and if there's certain behaviors that they display, they can get banned and not they can before they even get in. So
That's good.
we do our best to try to keep the starting line good. Once people are in, though, reporting is a really important part of the app. So if anything happens inappropriate or things that shouldn't happen, or there's a profile with something wrong, you can report it, and that goes to our team and they review it. And then any profiles that are, depending on the behavior, the user will either be suspended or it could be banned or being given a warning. And so putting the investment in that, it's funny because when we launched the dating app, the last thing I imagined was we would be doing so much in the safety realm.
Yeah. Sadly.
No, but it's been really empowering to be able to make a difference and put the time. I mean, how much of our time last year was built into safety?
Yeah, 35% of our capacity.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of people don't realize that, I mean, online scam problems have gone up, I believe in the last 2 years, it's like 200% increase just in the last couple of years. And so we went to town last year on what can we do to just eradicate these bad actors from our account. And we set a crazy goal and said, can we get rid of 95% of the reports of it?
Whoa.
And we did.
Oh, good.
So
Congratulations.
It
Nice.
was, yeah, we dug into AI behavior to be able to figure out what things are causing, what are these bad actors doing that we can detect at scale and then preemptively catch a lot of the behavior. So
That's awesome.
I mean, in security, there's and safety kind of falls into this. You need to have multiple layers of defense.
Right.
So we have the entrance filtering, we have the AI tools and behavioral, and then we have the reporting from the users themselves. And we listen to our community. And so a bad actor, they typically portray that behavior multiple times.
That's true.
So it's
That's true.
very rare for someone to get falsely reported by multiple people.
That's
so
true.
if you get two people who are saying you're doing bad things, there's such a short leash at that point that we have with those profiles because they often are going to cause more problems later.
That's great. That's great.
Another thing, just a year ago now, we looked at our verification system, and that's a great protection up front to prevent people from coming in that don't match who they look like on their profile. And we found our community was really diligent about verifying themselves, but we had this holdout percentage that we just couldn't get verified. And we just said, you know what? And this was another cool thing about like, okay, this is totally counterintuitive to my career. Like you wouldn't typically do this, but you care about these people. We just said, look, 100% verification. If you don't verify by this date, you're just off the app.
You're off.
Wow.
Yep.
Good.
And we kicked thousands of profiles off the app
Good.
this year.
Some that were very popular and I'm sure could have driven down the activity of the app. They just didn't take the time to take that step. And so it's been fun to really see things like that. We're just going to make that decision because it's in the interest of our users. One more thing too is that as far as reporting goes, most people don't know why this is happening and there's a lot of confusion about it. But let's say that somebody unmatches somebody in chat. That used to just disappear. That match just wouldn't show up anymore. We actually found that that's a really common time for users to feel like they need to send a report. And so we have those chats stick around for a little while. And so let's say a guy was being inappropriate or just not approaching the relationship the right way. If the girl takes an offense in that chat, it was common for him to just unmatch and then just go move on to the next.
Yeah.
Well, now he stays there and she has the opportunity to report him.
Oh, good.
And so it's just been really, really cool to see like minor enhancements that make a really big difference.
That's awesome.
Totally.
And things like that.
The more I hear about you guys, where it came from, what things you're doing to improve it, how you're protecting, I'm like, I love Mutual. Like, what? This is so awesome.
Well, you're feeling better about it in terms of safety.
Totally.
Your friends being safe.
About my friends being safe, just the whole app in general, and like your premise of why you're doing what you're doing. It's really, really awesome.
Well, the final line of defense is you, though. That's important. And that we have a whole section in our safety dedicated to trying to teach how do you, just like defensive driving, you need to protect yourself because you don't know who's out there. And anyone that you wouldn't put your life in the risk with a stranger. And so these people that you're meeting, you don't know them yet. So go to dinner. This might be a good way. Go to dinner somewhere public. Don't go to someone's apartment on a first date. That's not right. Go to somewhere. Hike. Go have a meal. A hike's a great 8th date. Once you know who the person is, it's not a good first date.
We had plenty of bad date stories that start off. We went up to the canyon.
Go somewhere public.
The whole way home.
We actually launched an entire app called Tonight. It used to be Mutual Dates with
it's great
safe dating activities you can go.
There you go.
I've tried it.
I was going to ask about that, but you got to promise to come back and talk about Mutual Date or
we'd love to talk about Tonight.
Yeah, we'll have you come back and talk about Tonight. So, wow, you guys, this is amazing. Now, tell everybody how they can find Mutual And can you tell us about subscription prices too, or what they get for free, or what they could get if they subscribe? Tell us all about you.
Yeah, so you can find Mutual in the App Store. And yeah, we're in the process of evaluating subscriptions. It's been something that we are always trying to give people the maximum effort or value out of their time on the app. And so it's been fun to see that evolve. But yeah, when you go into the app, you have the opportunity in multiple places to hit the upgrade button and see the.
So a lot of our paid features are shortcuts or things that help enhance the thing. Like a lot of people have success with the free version of our app.
Right.
And if they're tired or they think they're spending too much time, and then upgrading is something that you can definitely try. We have a free trial for all of our free and first users, and we always love to help people out.
That's great. Macie, are you convinced?
I'm convinced.
Do it.
There you go, boys. There you all know. Y'all know from our radio ad that Macie's on there too. So, well, guys, thank you so much for coming. Look, listeners, all you guys out there, listen, you got to get a Mutual app. One of the things we didn't talk about is the opportunity to meet people out of your general location. And I always tell people, well, I'm not on Mutual. I say, look, if there's a really handsome guy or a really beautiful young woman that lives in Salt Lake, you will never have the opportunity to meet him or her. But if you're on Mutual, you might be able to meet them. And I know that for firsthand experience. So trust me, guys, that does happen sometimes. So thank you guys for coming. Macie?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for filling in as the co-host today.
Thank you. I'm
Great.
so glad
I might just fire Bob.
You did great.
We can never fire Bob.
Guys, make sure you go and listen to all of our episodes, and you can find us on all your major podcasting net sites, but also go to our website at Dating Made Simple, IJD, which is for It's Just Dinner. And also we have an Instagram at Dating Made Simple. So please go there and check us out. We've got lots of really cool, fun stuff, lots of interviews that they've gone out and done. Have you checked them out lately?
I haven't, but I'll go right now.
You're going to have to go right now and do it. Well, listen, thank you. One more piece of advice. Just go have fun out there, would you?